Hello, Knickerbocker Bears. All right, so it's day 5 of our STEAM fair. So today it's math, and we're going to talk about fractions and measurements. And guess what? We're going to do baking. My kids love baking on Fridays. So I have decided to make cinnamon rolls, because it's a great way to learn how to use our measuring cups and fractions, and we have to practice using length and inches. So we are going to be making these delicious cinnamon rolls. They taste so good. So let me introduce my helpers. I have Catherine. I have Elizabeth. And James. Just a heads up, the cinnamon rolls will take 3 to 4 hours. It does take some time for that yeast to grow and create all those air pockets we need in our dough. Now, we do have a lot of time that it just is resting there on the counter, so we're not actually doing all the work for that time. So head over and go watch the sundial video and make your own sundial for the day. It looks like it's gonna be sunny. If you want to make the cinnamon rolls faster, I put a link below to a 1 hour cinnamon roll. That means you just kind of add double or more yeast, so it's quicker for it to rise. All right, let's go to step 1. The first step is to gather your ingredients. And especially the ones from the fridge, you want to bring them out and bring them to room temperature, like our butter and our cream cheese and our egg. We're going to warm up our milk in the microwave. All of the ingredients and measurements that we need will be in the description below, so go check those out. So just quickly, we're going to need some milk, flour, butter, sugar, salt. You need yeast. You can get just a packet of active dry yeast is good. I use my bread machine yeast. You're going to need some brown sugar, powdered sugar, cinnamon, vanilla, and cream cheese. Now, some tools you need is measuring cups and measuring spoons, a rolling pin, a ruler, right? We're doing some math, so we're going to do some measuring. A bowl, and your 9x13 pan to put your cinnamon rolls in. Okay, Elizabeth poured our 1 cup of milk. Now we're gonna have to heat it up a little bit, so put it in the microwave for like 30 seconds to a minute. All right, let's take a look at our measuring cup. Since it is math day, we're gonna talk about measurements. So
there's 4 quarters.
Yeah, so let's talk about our fractions. So in our 1 cup, look, we can break it up into quarters. We got 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, 4 quarters.
And that makes a cup.
We're gonna pour our warm milk into our bowl. And then we're gonna add our yeast to our milk.
Okay, now what do we do?
Okay, we need 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. So we're gonna give it a little bit of a stir and make sure that your yeast is incorporated in your milk. Now, here's our yeast. It's just these tiny little granules, and it's actually a fungi that is actually gonna mix with the sugar in our milk and release carbon dioxide, which is a gas, and that's what's gonna help make our dough rise and get really big. And why bread is so good is because it has all those bubbles and stuff. If you look and see in the bread, and that's from the yeast releasing all that gas, and it gets trapped in between the dough. The gas gets trapped in between the dough and creates that delicious bread that we're used to. All right, so the cool thing about baking is it's all about science. We learn how things interact with each other. We're gonna measure out 4.5 cups of flour. Right now, James has 1 cup, so dump that 1 cup in. Okay, so how else can we make 1 cup? How many half a cups do we need to make a whole cup, James? Cup. So now we're gonna use 2 half cups.
2 half cups. 2 cups.
So we have 2 cups because James made a cup with 1 cup and 2 halves. Now you guys can just go ahead and measure out 4.5 cups, but we're practicing our math. All right, Elizabeth has a 1/3 of a cup. You want to hold up our 1/3 cup? Okay, so...
And we need 2 of these to make a whole. 3 of these to make a whole.
So if we have a 1/3 of a cup, we need 3/3 of a cups to make a whole cup. Now we're up to 3 cups of flour. All right, we're gonna do one more measurement. We're gonna add to our 1/4 cup, 1/4. So if we have 1/4, we need
4 cups to make a whole.
Yeah. Now we're up to 4 cups. So we're gonna go up to 4.5, just to make sure we have just enough flour. Okay, so next we're gonna add a 1/3 cup of butter, but we're gonna add melted butter. So we want to cut our 1/3 of a cup. Do you see how it has 1/3 of a cup? So you want to cut it right along this line here and melt our butter. Now that our yeast has been able to grow and get ready to make our bread, Catherine, we're gonna put in all the rest of our ingredients. So we're gonna pour in our 1/3 cup of melted butter. Okay, James, can you put our egg in?
With the corn.
We're gonna put our egg in. And we're gonna get a 1/4 cup of sugar. James is gonna put in our sugar. So we actually did 2 1/8 of a cups. Take an 1/8 of a cup and another 1/8 of a cup. We're gonna equal our 1/4 cup. All right, so now we're gonna mix up our yeast stuff. Now we're gonna put about half of our flour mixture into our yeast mixture. So James is now putting about 2 cups of our flour.
Wow, I'm mixing. Yeah. It takes so long.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna mix it all up, and then we're gonna add our flour a little bit at a time. We're gonna keep adding more flour and until we can form a ball. So keep adding flour little by little. Okay, and we add flour until we make kind of like this dough. So now it's that we need to knead it for 5 minutes. That's a long time. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna push down with the heel of your hand and make it a dough again, and push it and make it a ball again and push. And you're gonna do that for 5 minutes. So set a timer, look at the clock and add 5 minutes to your time. And just keep pushing and pulling it back together. Okay, so your dough might get a little bit sticky, so add some more of the flour you have left to your dough and keep the bottom surface with flour so it doesn't get too sticky.
Am I doing it?
All right, James's turn to knead. Okay, make sure you press with your palms and press it out and put it back into a ball. Okay, so when you're done, it shouldn't be sticky at all. And that means your dough, so you've put enough flour in and your dough's not sticky. And after you've kneaded it, we're gonna put it in. I want you to get a bowl that has some butter or some grease in it. And then we're gonna put our dough in our greased bowl. When we finish kneading our dough, we're gonna put it in our bowl. Now, you don't have to put saran wrap on, but you can put it on top. And we're gonna leave it for 2 hours. So I want to take a look at your clock and add 2 hours to it. But for parents, It actually will rise better in a warm environment. So if you can maybe turn on your oven for a minute and then turn it back off, so it's only at like 100 degrees, then it will only take about an hour to rise. So what we want to see is we're gonna see our dough double in size. So it's kind of small right now, so we want to wait till it's about twice that size. It's gotten a lot bigger and has air bubbles in it. So while you are waiting for your dough to rise, we're gonna get the filling ready. So our cinnamon rolls need some cinnamon and sugar in the middle. Oh, Elizabeth got half a cup. How many half cups do we need?
2.
2. Good, and then we're to make our...
Wow.
Now we have our 1.25 cups of brown sugar. James, can you add in our 2.5 tablespoons of cinnamon?
Mix. Oh, go. Boom. Now I mix it.
And we're gonna put in 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Now,
Mixing it, so James has to do it.
the cornstarch is going to help make sure all our yummy brown sugar and cinnamon stays inside our cinnamon rolls. Pulled our dough out of our warm area, and it took about an hour, and it doubled in size. Pretty good, cool. You see all these air bubbles we're making from our reaction? All right, so what we have to do is we want to put a little bit of flour on your counter, or we have a surface here, and we're gonna roll out our dough to a big square.
No.
So we're gonna take it and we're gonna roll out our dough, and you want to make it a big square. So we'll measure it and I'll tell you about.
Rolling the dough, roll, 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 roll. This dough is 14 inches.
Okay, back to our measuring. Remember, it's math day, so we're gonna practice how to measure. So it doesn't have to be exact, but you just want it to be a big rectangle. So I said it's gonna be about 14 inches by, let's see how long this one is. So we go all the way to, we have a really long ruler. Now you probably don't have such a long ruler, so you might have to go a couple times to see how big you have gotten your rectangle. So ours is 18-inch ruler. So we have 18. Whoa. And how do we measure this last part? Elizabeth?
Count math.
Yeah, we're gonna add 18. We're gonna drag our ruler and count up, right? So we're gonna count from 18. We're gonna count 19, 20,
21. It's 21 inches.
22. We're gonna add
22 inches long. Isn't that
okay, so I want you guys to practice your math and measure your rectangle. Now, it doesn't have to be quite exact, but it just has to be a pretty good, big rectangle. Your cube of butter and start spreading it all over.
No, not flat. Chop it. Sprinkle some sugar. Sprinkle, 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 sprinkle.
Okay, so if you're having a hard time, remember your butter needs to be really soft in order for it to spread the whole way. So make sure your butter is really soft, and then now you're just gonna sprinkle all that cinnamon sugar mixture you made earlier all over.
Like this. Sprinkling it all over the thing.
Okay, so once we've poured all our cinnamon sugar over top of our dough, we're going to start rolling it. So Elizabeth's doing a great job.
Like I'm rolling right now. This part's big.
So roll it all the way to the edge.
Don't pause it. Ta-da!
So once we've rolled up our cinnamon roll, we're gonna get our pan ready to put the pieces in. So we're gonna you're gonna grease the bottom of your pan with butter or shortening. And then we're gonna get ready to cut our cinnamon
And
log,
then you're
into 2-inch segments. So I want you to get to your ruler. So make sure you get your rule. You can help practicing your measurements. So on the 2-inch, Elizabeth's gonna tell us how to cut it. So we're gonna get dental floss.
And what you put the dental floss under this, and then you put one of the strings and see if it's right on the line of 2, and then you cross it over, pull it tight, 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 chop. And there you have it.
Awesome. Thanks, Elizabeth. So then we're going to start stacking our cinnamon rolls in our pan.
Take it and line it up on the line of 2, and then you pull. And then line it up. And then pull and pull. And then there you have it. A roll.
All right. Thank you, James. All right. So once you've filled your pan, just depending on what size of your pan, you want to leave a couple inches space because they're going to grow pretty big. So you want to leave maybe 2 inches apart from your rolls. And then you're going to let it rest for an hour. Or if you have a grown-up to help you with an oven, you can put it in a warm place for half an hour. So if you put your oven on to just for like a minute and then turn the oven off, then it's kind of just warm enough to let it rise a little bit faster. Okay, so once we've let our rolls rise for about an hour, they kind of grew wide and kind of spread out. So we put about 9 in this pan and another 4 in this pan. So you want to give them some space to spread out. Then you want to preheat your oven. So make sure to grab your adults and preheat your oven to 350 degrees. And then you can go ahead and cook your cinnamon rolls for 17 to 20 minutes. You want to make sure it's kind of like that golden brown. And wait for our cinnamon rolls to rise, we can start making our frosting. And we're going to put 2 ounces of cream cheese. So we're going to look and we see the 2, and we're going to cut 2 ounces of cream cheese. 1/4 cup of butter. Where's our 1/4 cup, James? Look right here. It says 1/4 cup, right? So we're going to cut right here where it says 4 tablespoons. All right. Okay, to make the frosting, we're just going to dump everything into our bowl. And then I have a KitchenAid, so you can use that, or you can use the hand mixers and just whip it all together. If you want to start slow because your powdered sugar is going to go everywhere. But we have 1.25 cups of powdered sugar, 1/4 cup of butter, 2 ounces of cream cheese, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then we're just going to beat this till it's nice and fluffy.
It is super delicious, and it's done.
All right. Okay, so after, I think mine was like 18, 19 minutes, you're going to see, it's kind of hard to see, but it's kind of like golden brown. And you can take them out of the oven and let them cool and then put on your icing. Okay, so now we poured our frosting on top of our cinnamon rolls. So they're ready to eat. So cut them up and enjoy. How is it, James?
Super. This faster you eat, it's so yummy. You should try yours. Send us pictures of your cinnamon rolls, either without or with. Maybe with sprinkles. Bye.